Hello everyone, I am the Game Mechanic, and I'm so excited to be bringing you this gameplay preview for the inimitable 4X title, Civilization 7. My sincerest thanks go to Firaxis and 2K for sponsoring this video, and of course for giving me the amazing opportunity to both play and preview their premier flagship title. Civilization 7 is available on PC and consoles February 11th. In this video, we'll review some Civ basics, preview some of the major changes in Civ 7, discuss their implications, and tease out some of the exciting new gameplay that this perennial favorite has to offer. Before we get too into the weeds, here are some of the basics for those who might be new to the franchise. First released in 1991, Sid Meier's Civilization pioneered a historical, turn-based strategy game whose tenets and philosophy resonate even decades later. In Civilization, players learn to explore the world, expand their empire, exploit their resources, and exterminate their opponents, all while cheekily playing a historical leader whose unique abilities lend context and foster curiosity around history, geography, and humanity. The mantra of explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate became the namesake for the 4X genre, and within that genre, Civ remains king. While the game has evolved alongside technology and the expectations of a passionate player base, its values and tenets have only deepened. Each iteration brings a strong sense of history and a deep appreciation for humanity and culture, all while creating a history-adjacent playground for players to frolic through via maps, technology, culture, religion, military, and awe-inspiring wonders. One last thing for newcomers, I've been beyond impressed with Civ 7's tutorial and advisor system thus far. I think this may be the perfect time for new players to jump in and hit the ground running. With all that said, let's dive into Civilization 7. What can you expect from this iteration of the franchise? I'll do my best to present things at face value and save my most humble of opinions for a proper review video, which you'll be able to see on this channel before too long. So don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're a wily vet like me, you love Civ for myriad reasons. You probably love the score, the thrill of spawning into an unknown land, the excitement of exploration, the potential of your unique Civ abilities, and the promise of your empire's great reign. But in addition to being full of what you love, Civ 7 boasts ambitious new systems which seek to alleviate some of the more commonly felt pain points in the 4X genre, such as imbalanced maps and player location, a rote, quote, optimal path through the game, and a stale endgame. Again, I'll save my detailed thoughts on how well Civ 7's new systems accomplish these goals for my review vid, but these are things to keep in mind as we talk about some of the changes. Some of the big new changes in systems include, but aren't limited to, dividing the game into distinct eras, each with unique gameplay, Civ choices, and tech trees, uncoupling leaders from Civs and letting you choose both at game creation and then evolving your Civ as you transition eras, not to mention a massive overhaul in in-game systems like cities, tiles, city-states, barbarian camps, goody huts, legacy paths, and much, much more. So let's begin with game creation. New choices await returning Civ players even before you play turn 1. Choosing both a historical leader and an antiquity-era civilization might feel a little anachronistic at first, but once you get a feel for this change, the promise is really enticing. Not only is the antiquity era full of mix and max potential, but the excitement and theory craftability continues as eras end and your Civ evolves. The number of unique playthroughs and combinations of empires is staggering. In terms of fun factor and variability, these big changes do deliver. Experienced players will also note the memento choice, but we'll save that discussion for another time. When you finally choose which Civ and leader combo to go with, you'll load into the game at what feels like blistering speed. I'll note that turn timers and animations feel incredibly smooth and fast. The, quote, polish on the game, so to speak, has very much impressed me. On turn 1, we merely have a founder, and you should note that you cannot settle resources, a popular strategy in previous editions. Pressing Y will bring up tile yields, and unlike previous editions, every biome feels useful and good. People diagnosed with restart-itis, such as myself, will find less exacerbation of compulsive restart tics, and one can generally be happy with settling in place and trusting the map scripting. After settling your first city, you'll notice that you can either produce a warrior or a scout, each only taking one turn. Note that this is a one-time deal. Advancing to turn 2 nets you your unit and completes the fundamental tech of agriculture, which allows you to build a granary and also adds +1 food to farms. Let's take a second here and clarify what the agriculture bonus of +1 food to farms means. In this case, it doesn't actually mean farms, it means farmable tiles. So once you acquire the bonus, you'll see +1 food on just about every flat farmable tile in your empire, meaning you must own one of these tiles to see the bonus. It should be noted that you'll see this language throughout the game, especially with buildings that provide a warehouse bonus, such as the granary. After queuing up your next production, and after choosing between sailing, pottery, and animal husbandry as your first scientific techs, you'll move on to turn 3, where we'll finally get a growth event, and we can finally see how population and districts are going to work. City planning in Civ 7 comes down to rural tiles and urban tiles. Urban tiles are your buildings, and when you build 2 buildings in the same tile, then this is considered a district. Buildings and districts need to be built radiating out from your city center, and they also need to be contiguous. Rural tiles are what you acquire during growth events, and those tiles will automatically be improved as their yields get added to your city's output. The growth event will add farms for flat tiles, sawmills for wooded tiles, mines for rough terrain, etc., etc. Those tiles can then be further enhanced by rural tile improvements. These tile improvements don't remove warehouse bonuses, allowing you to double stack onto your rural tiles. I'll also mention that resources are automatically improved when you acquire them, and most resources will grant you a movable version of that resource, which will have additional bonuses for the city housing it. Later in the era, traders can establish trade routes granting gold bonuses and also the resources from the other player or city-state that you're trading with. Note too that units no longer require strategic resources to build. Instead, things like iron and horses will give the corresponding units a bonus. Whether it's urban or rural, once completed or acquired, the yields of the tile get added to your city's output. Growth is at a premium in Civ 7, and cities can get huge. Maybe you can already see how tiles and districts go absolutely burr, and output can feel incredible. Just about every improvement and district has synergies, so planning your cities feels very important. I'll also note that while the UI doesn't know your long-term plan, it does do a great job at showing you which location is currently the most bountiful for your districts or tile improvements and why. Eventually, your culture will finish researching chiefdom, and you'll get to pick your first government, as well as a new civic to research, and we'll get a chance to check out even more unique features. Each civ, not leader, has a distinct and unique culture tree, and within it, a wonder that you'll have a bonus towards building. Sometimes this will unlock said wonder early, and in some cases it feels late. Within your unique culture tree, you'll also find traditions or social policies that will work well for your Civ's features and stay with you throughout age transitions. It's pretty important to unlock these as you don't get to continue your tech or civic tree after the age transitions. Regarding governments and social policies, each age you'll pick from a new base government, which will dictate what kind of bonuses you'll get during a celebration. Keep your cities happy for long enough, and they'll celebrate your awesomeness by letting you boss them around more. Each celebration adds a new social policy slot to your government, so happiness is important both for empire expansion and your efficacy as a leader. As the game progresses, you'll do some usual Civ things, like exploring and meeting other Civs and independents. You'll send settlers off to found new cities, and your scouts will find what I'll lovingly still call a goody hut. Goody huts in Civ 7 now initiate narrative events that give you a choice between results. Also note the new abilities on the scout, which let you perform its eponymous task. Another big change is that new cities are towns, which can grow and expand to rural tiles while sending their production to your capital as gold. You can buy buildings in towns, but you cannot assign specialists or produce anything. Towns can be converted to proper cities with gold, and the more population you have, the cheaper it is to convert. The Age of Antiquity will progress based on players' progression through legacy paths, which consist of cultural, scientific, economic, and militaristic endeavors. Details about how to progress can be found by clicking the Age Progress button in the upper left-hand corner. Suffice it to say that these paths progress by you playing the game well and accomplishing certain milestone events such as building wonders, acquiring scientific codices, settling or taking over cities, and amassing resources within your empire. You're free to pursue all of the legacy paths at once, and getting to the end of them will give you a golden age in the next era, granting powerful legacy bonuses. Note that each path has its own golden and dark ages associated with it. Once you hit the threshold of 70% era progress, the game enters crisis mode, signaling that the end of the age is near, and forcing you to add detrimental crisis cards to your government policies. Don't worry, crisis cards have their own slots, so they won't force you out of your useful policies. The crises are varied, and each version has unique cards that you're forced to use. Some won't hurt too bad, depending on what you've accomplished, but eventually you'll have to add some that hurt, and the tension of the world's crisis and subsequent age transition will build. Once the progress meter is at 100%, the age will end and you'll transition to the age of exploration. Lots of things happen during an age transition, the most notable of which is that you'll evolve out of your antiquity civ and choose a whole new one better equipped to handle the age of exploration. Some of these choices are rote, and others will be available based on what you accomplished in the previous era. In addition, during an age transition, you'll be able to select new mementos and distribute your legacy points which you earned in antiquity. The new age also unlocks new tech and civics trees, which allow your civ to do things like found a religion and explore over deep waters. What may shock you about your new era is that your previous hard work is mostly obsolete. Buildings revert to their base yields as the time of their usefulness has ended. You'll still be paying full maintenance on them, but their output will be paltry compared to the previous era. You'll want to upgrade your towns by building over buildings with new buildings. You do get to keep your ageless unique buildings from the previous era, and those will continue to work as expected, though you won't be able to build any more of them. You'll also observe that city-states disappear, and new ones will shortly arrive to take their place. New or evolved resources can be found on the map, including whales, furs, truffles, and niter, and the yields from previous resources and their tradable counterparts are upgraded or evolve as well. Incense, for example, which previously increased science in a city, now increases production towards temples and missionaries. Trading, exploration, and religion are the focus of this era, and your legacy paths reflect this. Acquiring relics for religious prowess, treasure fleets for economic, new cities for conquest, and big districts for scientific progress. And once you build all that back up again, be ready for it all to come crashing down as you transition into the modern age. I want to thank you all for watching this preview video. Special thanks again to Firaxis and 2K for giving me the opportunity to show and share all of this with you. Stay tuned to the channel for more Civ 7 goodness.